What's up, everybody? John and Pepper here from Old Reading Farm. Thanks for joining us. In today's video, we are going to talk about our 2025 New Year's resolutions. And by 2025 New Year's resolutions, what I really mean is my giant project list for 2025. Just kidding, but not really. So anyway, in our last video, I sort of caught you up on everything that was going on around the farm. But I have some other stuff that I wanted to talk to you guys about, show you around a little bit, and talk about what our plans are going to be for 2025. So, number one on the list was build a donkey barn. Check. If you haven't seen that one in our last video, it's right over here. It came out pretty well because they were previously in, we just had our horse trailer in there, which I guess I need to get out of there at some point soon. But so we built this nice 12 by 16 donkey barn for them. But so that's done. I do have some things that I want to still do in there. Like I need to build a stall. I need to build some storage stuff. And I need to secure their loft. It's not quite watertight. So before I store hay in there, I just want to make sure it's nice and watertight so it doesn't get rained on. Anyway, so the next thing on my list, which is not necessarily in any priority, is to add fence rails to this fence here. So you can see this is the girls' dry lot, basically. Over there, oh, the sun. On the other side over there is where the grass is. Here we just have them dry lotted. And I had sunk wood posts in here a while ago. Gosh, probably more than a year ago. And the thought was, you know, what's the point of putting in T-posts and then securing the wire fence to that when we can just put the wood posts in, put the wire fence on it for now to just get it done, and then when we're ready to add rails to it, we can. Because I was thinking ahead when I built this, and I put the wire on the inside. So now, while the wire is still here, we can put the rails on the outside and then just take the wire down whenever it's done. Now, I also did one of my sort of regrets here is that I hammered these in here with these, you know, heavy duty staples. So it's gonna be tricky to get them out, but probably need to use my angle grinder and metal cutting disc to cut out those nails and then just pull the wire fence down, because we'll still be able to use the wire fence. And you know, there are also several sections where there were just stumps and roots and stuff that I could not get my post hole digger into. So I still have some T-posts down over on that side, but maybe I'll put a sheath, or I don't know. I'll figure something out for over there. And then obviously, while we're talking about fencing, changing this wire fence over to wood is also on my list. Fencing is a big part of my list for 2025. But you know what? I was looking at my list from 2023 for my, you know, to-do list for 2024, and I actually did a pretty good job on that list, because I made that list while I was sitting at like the very last day of our very last show that was just dead in 2023. And I was like, I might as well come up with a to-do list for 2024. And I actually did pretty good on that. So another big thing that's going to be on my list for 2025 is fencing all this crap in. So this is that nice grass area that we had someone come and they dug out all the rocks and built that rock wall back there. And so what we're going to do, so we are going to end up fencing in basically all this over here, so that stone wall goes down to over there. We're going to continue the fence over to our property line there. You can see with those arborvitaes over there. Go all the way around over there to that stone wall over here. We'll probably take this down and maybe even have the fence continue along to behind that and then come up this way and probably cross the road right there. And I think, you know, in my head when I was thinking of how to do this, I think we'll probably do the same thing that we did with the fence up there, where I will take the time to sink the posts, since I have the post hole digger, and you know, it's pretty easy for me to set those posts by myself. And I can get them, you know, exactly in the configuration that I want. You know, the troublesome thing is with that stone wall back there, we will still have to set posts. And so I'll have to talk to Catherine and figure out whether she wants the posts on the ground here or if she wants them up on the next level. We'll have to see how that will work. But so we basically have two really big sections, because we have, you know, this big section over here to the right of those trees, and then, you know, sort of like it's a big square over here. And then we have all this, which this used to be the concept for the flower farm, but man, it just collected so much water and was gross. So I think what's going to have to be part of this plan also is a berm and some swales on the edge to try to get rid of the water. Because the problem is, you know, everywhere up there is a higher elevation, and so this is the lower elevation, and it even goes up over there. So if we do some swales and some berms and maybe plant some trees on top of it, that should alleviate the water in here. But you know what's nice, even though it's not super pretty, and obviously it's hard to tell right now, there was grass growing under here. And so, you know, we won't have to necessarily come in and, you know, plant a whole bunch of grass seed. We actually experimentally planted some grass seed right here, and it did pretty well. But when we have alpacas and animals down here constantly stepping on it, chewing on it, it should keep the weeds down. And then the other thing we can do is just mow. So we get these things, which are like those, I'll call them like fake elderberry plants. They're like, they have those little purple berries. And I don't know, they're green and they're weed-like, and they grow super duper fast in the summer. We also have fireweed is a thing that grows down here. And we have like wild thorns that just are an absolute nightmare. I don't know if you can see them through here, but like these guys are no fun, especially when they get to be nice and big like that. So like when you're just walking casually through the woods and then something grabs your leg and rips half of your flesh off, that's what that is. But you know, if we're able to just mow, you know, we'll keep that stuff down into a minimum, and then with animals down here, it should be good. And then one of the other big things that's going to be a part of this is these trees all over here and more on this side. So this is like on the side of our house. So we're going to have our, the tree company that brings me most of my logs for milling. We're going to have him spend 3 or 4 days here and take down as many of those trees as he possibly can. And in doing so, we'll hopefully be able to make that a grassy area and eventually have fencing up there too. And I think we'll do the same thing. You know, I'll set the posts and I'll mill all the lumber for the rails, but I think paying somebody else to hang those rails is such a huge time saver. Definitely need to make use of that. All right, and then we have a couple things going on down here. So one thing that is a little bit of a pipe dream would be to figure out a way to get roofs over these chicken runs. Because when it rains, it pours, and you know, their runs just get really gross and smelly, and just, you know, we don't want them to have wet runs. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but I'd like to figure out a way to get some roofs over here, even if we end up with just like a shade sail. And you know, if I come in and I put 2 huge posts on here and then have some supports going down, you know, we can have another support on the backside of this run here and secure it to these runs, or to these coops rather. You know, secure it right to the back end of that. That should be fine. But you know, if there's any way, because these posts holding the chicken wire for the runs is not necessarily structurally sound, so I wouldn't be able to just put roofing right on there. They're also rather flat, so that won't work. But we'll have to see. So maybe it's, you know, some accessory posts here or there, or I guess I could even put posts in the runs. Yeah, some way to figure out how we can get a roof over these runs would be nice. We also So I used very small, very thin 1/4-inch plywood to do the floors of these coops. And they are now starting to disintegrate. So I need to go in and take... Okay. Catherine's just driving in like the opposite way, I guess, because the UPS truck is there. Just threw me off a little bit. But anyway, so we also need to fix the floors here. Something that wasn't on my list that I would like to do is give the boys some more room to roam, because we have the same sort of deal here as we do with what I was talking about with the flower farm, in that we have all of this space. You know, we cleared all this space down here intending to rotationally graze the alpacas, but now we've basically just ended up with a bunch of weeds. And there was grass down here at one point, because we were actually taking their manure and just dumping it over here, spreading it out, and then the little seeds from their manure would actually grow grass. So that's something that I'd like to do over here, is actually get at least one more fenced in area so we can let them over there. So they can, you know, again, just tromp it down and take care of it. And then while we're over here, I need to find a new spot for my manure compost, which is tough because local regulations, I need to keep my manure pile at least 100 feet from any property line. And, you know, it's safer to have it further away. So I was thinking maybe I'd be able to push it sort of back over there. It's just hard because now it's all frozen, but you know, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time like moving it to one place and then have to move it somewhere else. So I'm not sure, you know, we'll have to figure out what we want to do with the manure that's already composted, and it's like great compost, you know, so maybe we'll use it up in one of our gardens, but it might be better off for just like planting grass. So we'll maybe just use it for over here. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out. So something else that was pretty exciting was that I was contacted by the Catherine Violet Hubbard Foundation, which is a local charity that does a lot with animals. And they have been trying to get someone to teach like a backyard chickens 101 course. And they contacted me and I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So I'm going to be teaching a backyard chickens 101 course in person in March of 2025. So I have some work to get done with that, including like a lesson plan and all that. But you know, I have a good personality for teaching, right? You guys would all agree. Some of you would not, but that's fine. So I think that'll be really fun, and I think that'll be something that I'm good at. And you know, we always felt in our last town, a lot of people knew us, but now being here in Newtown, it's a much bigger town and there's a lot more people. So it'd be nice to ingratiate ourselves in the chicken community a little bit, and see how that goes. We always like, you know, we like supporting charities, especially important ones like that. And yeah, so looking forward to that. Next on the list is two things. So this is the catch pen for our girl alpacas. I would like to sort of reformat this a little bit with some wood posts. So these are just wood stuck in the ground. This was before we got our sawmill, so I'd like to get some beefy posts and sink them with concrete, and then we can hang some shade sails from here. We've been talking about doing that for the longest time. Because like when it rains, they all go into the barn, and granted the number that we have now, they do actually fit, but it'll be nice to have some additional space that's covered. So if I have like actual concreted in posts over here, we can hang a shade sail from this side to over here, and then same thing in the front, hang it from the front down to those gate posts. I've also always wanted to have like an actual gate rather than just these cattle panels. So that'll get us closer to that as well. So it's sort of a two-parter, you know, because I will have to take out and replace these posts, but I already have some holes dug, so it shouldn't be that bad. And then once I get that, I should be able to pretty easily connect the shade sails to them, and that'll be good both in the summer when it's super hot, but also, like I said, when it rains. And also it'll be good for when we have shearing day. That way, if it does rain, they can at least get some cover and they're not going to be soaking wet that day. So I also have some John projects, like I'd like to clean up my firewood area and build a new slab rack and some stuff that would make my life a little bit easier for milling logs, but I won't bore you guys with that. But so this is a garden that we built up here that's basically on top of where I was talking to you about the alpaca pasture over here. And so we want to reorganize this because we planted a whole bunch of stuff in here. And you can see, so there's butterfly bushes. I know there's some shrub roses and other roses in here. We had some dahlias in here, but we pulled those up. And what we like to do is get this into rows, because one of the things we found is that weeding is really hard and it's a real pain in the neck, but it's much easier if you have everything in rows rather than just this big monster nest of a nasty thing. And so I think in part of that, we will probably rent a brush hog and take some of this down. This is like some of those thorns that I was telling you about. It's just all thorns in there. It's gross. And if we have time, our tree guy will also be taking down these trees, if he can. We'll have to see. You know, he basically gave us a flat per day rate, and we'll just have to see how it goes from there. All right, so actually, last on the list is gonna be up here. And so this is where we built all those raised beds last year. And so we were originally thinking that we would have a whole section of raised beds in this area here. But after having our open farm day, and even just now that we have this big giant truck, it is helpful to have a spot for either people to park or for us to turn around in. So I vote that we leave that open. But over on this side, we had talked about adding another little sort of patio area in addition to a few more raised beds. So that's definitely on my list. And as you can see, I'm a very busy guy. And we also, you know, so it's December. It's the day after Christmas today. And I actually have a lot going on. Because I have all these projects, but we also, oh boy, yeah, we have to start building up inventory for next year. So the grind never stops, right, guys? And you can see here, so we actually, it's a funny story with these. Somebody posted, I think in one of our local groups, or maybe it was some flower group, maybe Catherine will help me out here, but this Pro Mix potting soil was on sale for like $5.50 a bag. And that is 2 cubic feet of soil per bag. So we went out to 2 different Home Depots and got 2 pallets worth. I think it was a total of like maybe 100 bags. Because what we found is we did a sort of hugelkultur method with these beds, where we started, we had some little twigs and rotten logs and stuff like that. And then we put hay and some other mulch sort of thing on top of it, and then topped it off with some compost. But we found that the compost really compacted down, and you know, the logs and stuff on the bottom really sort of prevented the dahlias from, you know, growing as many tubers as they possibly could. So we got this soil as a way to help top off all of these beds, and so we have plenty and shouldn't have a problem. So that'll be good. That's a Catherine project, though. She'll be able to do that. But then that way we'll be able to hopefully have much more tubers next year. Anyway, I think that's about it for our 2025 projects. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.